Hello viewers. Welcome to Legendary Muscles. One of the greatest bodybuilders to have won a Mr. Olympia title, Frank Zane has cemented his legacy in more ways than one. In addition to being the fifth bodybuilder to secure an Olympia, Zane boasted a 190-pound masterpiece of a physique that became the standard of aesthetics. His combination of presentation, symmetry, and conditioning was enough to claim victory over several major names of the golden era, including Arnold Schwarzenegger, whom he defeated at the Mr. Universe in 1968. And since he's the godfather of aesthetics, Frank Zane, a name synonymous with excellence in bodybuilding, is a three-time Mr. Olympia, 1977 to 1979, and a true icon in the fitness industry. Renowned for his chiseled physique and aesthetic proportions, Zane's training philosophy has inspired countless athletes and fitness enthusiasts around the world. In this video, we delve into the training methods and tips that contributed to Zane's success. By understanding and implementing these principles, you too can strive toward your fitness goals and sculpt an impressive physique. Number 1. Focus your workouts. When I'm in the gym, I'm not thinking about anything other than getting a damn good workout. I never wanted to talk to anyone during a workout, especially if I was training for something, because that's a distraction. I went as far as to always try to go to the gym when there was hardly anybody there. Or, if there were people around, they were other serious gym goers. At Gold's Gym in Venice, California, in the late 60s and early 70s, if you went to the gym at 6:30 or 7 in the morning, the people there were serious about their workouts. There was no talking, no noise, and no distractions. By 9 a.m., all the loudmouths wandered in. Fortunately, I was on my way out by then. Number 2. Treat each deltoid head as separate muscle. I think most people undertrain the deltoids. I've always thought of each of the 3 delt heads as a separate, albeit small, muscle. So I made sure to do 2 exercises for the front, 2 for the side, and 2 for the rear, for sets of each exercise. So, that's 8 sets for each delt head. It may should like a lot of volume if you add up all the sets, but when you think of just 8 per deltoid head, that's not a lot. Number 3. Stretch out between sets. Optimal blood flow is a key to growth, as it floods the muscle with more nutrients for better recovery. To help this process, I performed a stretch for the body part one was working between each set. After a set of cable rows, for example, I'd perform a 2-arm lat stretch. Grab onto a sturdy object with arms fully extended and lean into it. This also enhances your flexibility, which will help keep you injury-free. Number 4. Go with dumbbells for biceps. A favorite biceps routine of mine was to start with 1-arm dumbbell concentration curls, 3 sets of 8 to 10 reps for each arm using more weight each set. I would very deliberately hold the dumbbell for 1 second at the top of the curl and squeeze the biceps for peak contraction, and then start lowering the dumbbell very slowly. Alternate dumbbell curls came next, 3 sets of 8 to 10 reps, increasing the weight each set. Each dumbbell would travel up and down completely before I curled the other dumbbell. Each negative would begin very slowly, and I would pronate the dumbbell, turn it inward, on the way down. Finally, I did 45-degree incline dumbbell curls with lighter dumbbells, 12, 10, and 8 reps. I did a great deal of dumbbell work for biceps in those days, because it was the best. You can curl and supinate at the top of the movement with dumbbells. Number 5. Do rack deadlifts. People think because I had an aesthetic physique I somehow finessed the muscle on with only isolation or machine exercises. The opposite is true. I did the compound, free weight basics, but I always did them strategically. Everything I did strategically. What will this do to improve my physique? One example of this is rack deadlifts. I did heavy deadlifts in a rack with the support bars set just below my knees for sets of 6 to 10 reps. I always used straps to secure my grip. These are what gave me that back density from top to bottom that you'd see in my back poses. I couldn't have got that look of thickness in my spinal erectors and lower trapezius with just lifts like pull-downs and cable rows. It came because of heavy, free weight, basic work. But I did it strategically. I did the deadlifts off the rack instead of the floor, because I wanted it to be a back exercise only. Number 6. Train for the vacuum. People often ask me how I got such a great vacuum pose. Like anything else worth having, I had to work for it. One exercise I usually did to end my chest routine was the dumbbell pullover. I felt this in my chest and lats and the long head of my triceps, but especially in my serratus, the finger-like muscles along the side which were so visible in my vacuum pose. The pullover really ties together your whole torso. So pullovers are the most important exercise for the muscles most visible in a vacuum pose. But as for the actual act of vacuuming in your waist, I would practice that. I would pull in my waist as far as I could and hold that position for a minute. I would do that any time of the day, just always practicing the vacuum, especially as a contest get closer and I got leaner. Number 7. Pump up your triceps. Follow the pump. I remind myself to do this whenever I train my triceps. It's also my reasoning for working tris right after chest, to take full advantage of the ample blood flow already in that area, from chest presses. The triceps make up 2/3 of your arm mass, which is why they deserve more time and focus than their counterparts, the biceps. 3 of my favorite exercises for tris include close grip bench presses, push downs, and overhead dumbbell extensions. I suggest performing these 3 moves twice per week. Go with reps in the 12 to 15 range so that you can really focus on getting ample blood flow to the muscle. Number 8. Don't stay on the flat bench. Early on, the flat bench press is good for building pec, delt, and triceps mass, but its usefulness doesn't last. Currently, I train my pecs only once a week, and I start each workout with the incline bench press, and using dumbbells with a neutral grip allows for a better stretch. Then I move on to the pec deck. If you don't have access to a good pec deck, then dumbbell flies on a slight decline are your best option. For the pec deck, I keep the reps in the 6 to 12 range, working up in weight and down in reps. Dips on a dip machine are also great. I do higher reps for this exercise, about 15, 12, 10 reps as I increase weight. Number 9. Stick to the program. This whole concept of changing your training regimen all the time never appealed to me. The reason being that you never get good at anything. If you want to improve at something, you have to do it a lot. After all, the basis of learning is repetition. And that's what you do in the gym. We're educating the muscles by doing a lot of sets and a lot of reps. As long as it's working, stick to the program. Number 10. End with abs. Abs work was always at the end of my workout, and my plan was to gradually increase the total amount of reps right up until contest time, until I was doing 1,000 total reps at the end of each workout. Often, I came back to the gym later in the afternoon to do this, and it usually took me a half hour of non-stop abs exercises to complete it. The minimum program was leg raise for 4 sets of 25 superset with abs crunches, for sets of 25, followed by 100 seated twists. As I progressed in my abs work, I'd add to this 4 sets of 25 reps of hanging knee-ups superset with 4 sets of 25 of cable crunches. Number 11. Diet smart. Throughout my career, I was never a big carbohydrate freak. There were always fewer carbohydrates in my diet than there was protein. I kept protein at 1 gram per pound of body weight, usually between 190 and 200 grams per day. My carbs stayed between 70 and 150 grams, and fat made up around 25% of my total calories. I never went above 3,000 calories. I'd just get fat doing that. The way I did it was a seasonal approach. I would train hard in the summer and peak in the fall. I would go into maintenance mode in the winter and build back up in the spring. I wasn't peaked all the time, but I always stayed on top of my nutrition and supplementation. Number 12. Set reasonable goals. To make consistent progress, you should set sensible goals. If you're just starting out, then aiming to compete on the Olympia stage, let alone win the contest, is probably too lofty. Adding an inch to your arms in 3 months is doable and also gives you focus in your training. But don't sacrifice yourself to your goals to the point where you can't be happy in the moment. Because if you're always striving for something you don't have, what does that say about right now? Try to have both. Frank Zane's training tips and principles have stood the test of time and continue to inspire athletes and fitness enthusiasts today. Through his emphasis on the mind-muscle connection, high-intensity training, progressive overload, periodization, and a balanced approach to nutrition and supplementation, Zane exemplified what it takes to achieve a legendary physique. By incorporating these principles into your own training regimen, you can unlock new levels of muscular development, symmetry, and overall fitness. Remember, consistency, dedication, and an unwavering commitment to your goals are essential in your pursuit of greatness, just as they were for Frank Zane. If you find this video helpful, like and share it. Subscribe this channel to get more interesting content in the future. Stay motivated and stay hydrated. We will be back to you soon. Be legendary.